We got Gators Breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. And the Gators is just going to keep us busy, aren't they? And hey, we will absolutely take that, because we're back on the recruiting trail with another commitment, another flip for the Gators. EDGE Jayden Woods flips from Penn State to the Gators, so plenty to get into. Wasn't sure, if they were going to have any more commitments. We had done the FSU preview, got that out. Okay, well, that might be the last episode for the week. Nope. Billy Napier and his staff had other plans, and certainly good news with Jaden Woods flipping from Penn State to Florida. So plenty to get into. We'll have some highlights. We'll hear from Billy Napier as well. I talked to him. Of course, this was before this commitment, but they probably knew this was coming. But we got to speak to Billy Napier on a Zoom press conference late Wednesday. So I asked him about recruiting, the recent recruiting surge. So we'll hear from Billy Napier about just how good the last couple of weeks have been on the recruiting trail. So everybody hit that like button before we move forward. Smash that like button right here on YouTube. Kind of a surprise episode. Me and my wife were out shopping and got the news, so had to get home, but not much of a hurry. Enjoying the holidays, enjoying the family time there. But I know the basketball game's going on right now too. But I have plans tonight, so had to get this one out. Had to get this one out. But good news anyway. Guys, we don't wait too much longer. We don't wait too long when commitments happen before breaking it down right here on Gators Breakdown. So hit that like button. Subscribe right here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform if you haven't done so yet. What you waiting on? Just help us out right here. Hey, and to help you guys out, it is, as we're recording this, Black Friday, so go take advantage if you can. If you're looking for Gator gear, you can support Gators Breakdown at the same time. Go to Fanatics. Link is in the description. You can get your DJ Lagway NIL jersey right there. The most recent shoes, the Nike Pegasus that were released, they are on sale on this Black Friday. A lot of good merch right there. Help Gators Breakdown out. And look, I'm sure they'll be running sales all throughout the holiday season, but I know it's 30% off right now. So I'm sure that's probably, I don't know, might be going on through the weekend, but I do know on this Black Friday, you can get 30% off. So you save about $40 on the jersey, I believe, about the same on the shoes. So I know. I'm trying to save you guys some money. This holiday season. So link is in the description to do it right there. And look, we got to do it one time too. If you like the last couple of weeks, the results on the field, the results on the recruiting trail, there's one way to keep it going. Join Florida Victorious. And look, they've been doing some changes over there too. My good buddy Nick De La Torre, you can get his content there now at Florida Victorious. All the great work you've become to know from Nick De La Torre is there at Florida Victorious now. I don't know if you guys missed that announcement or not, but Nick's coverage of Florida athletics just in general, but of course right now during football season, that's where you can find it, at Florida Victorious. You get 20% off your first month there with promo code GatorsBD. And look, that's what we know. You want the results on the field. You want to keep winning. You want to keep getting these recruits. Guys, we know the formula now. It is what it is. It is through NIL. It is through Florida Victorious right there at the University of Florida. So you can become a member. Link is in the description. You get a little something out of it too, even more now with Nick there, but also 20% off your first month using promo code GatorsBD. So, all right. Plenty to get into. We might do a Q&A too a little bit. We'll see what the time holds after we talk about this commitment, and we'll see. I guess we'll start there just for a second. Jordan Kelly says, "Hey Dave, do you feel like if we put a huge whooping on FSU, we could convince Tramel Jones, wide receiver, to come to Gainesville? Heard some of them were elite. The ones you're talking about there, of course, Jamie French from Mandarin, where Tramel Jones went. I don't see it happening right now, but we got about a few days left, about 6 days left, 7 or 5 days left till early signing day. We'll see. I wouldn't expect it right now. We got Vernell Brown III, who was a 7-on-7 teammate of Tramel Jones. So that kind of helped there get Tramel with Vernell Brown already on here. But we'll see what happens. So I would predict it right now. but we'll see. Dallas Wilson, the other one, no really connection there to Tramell Jones, but just the other 5-star receiver out there. I think he's visiting FSU this weekend, so gets another up-close look at Florida. Might be tough to, in the end, flip him from Oregon. Oh, we'll see. But I don't see the big name receivers right now. Patrick says, "Hey, Dave, we need you to go on vacation until after December 4th. You guys just know, I'm in the 9-to-5 job. I was on vacation this past week, and of course, should have known a flood of commitments was going to come. Just how it happens. Just how it happens." Trace Andrews says, before we get into the Jaden Woods right here, happy Thanksgiving, Dave. Any news on Solomon Thomas? Not much right now. I think if he flips to Florida State, I think LSU is just as much in it as Florida. So I think it's really going to come down to the end here. I probably would slightly lean if he flips to LSU right now, but that is the slimmest of margins. So we'll see. Recruiting, guys, it's a roller coaster. So what we could say right now could change in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next day, in the next few days. So it's a roller coaster. We know that. We know. So we'll see what happens. But all right. Like I said, we'll do some Q&A. We can go pure football with Florida State coming up for some Q&A after we talk here, or a little bit of recruiting. I'm still trying to catch up with recruiting a bit anyway. The season itself keeps me a bit busy. So it's just where we're at right now. It's a good thing. It is a good thing. We all know it is. So, all right, Gator Nation, let's go. We got to commit. And it is EDGE Jayden Woods from Shawnee, Kansas, 6'3", 240-pound, 4-star flips from Penn State, where he had been committed since June. On the 24/7 Sports Composite, Woods comes in as the 130th overall player in the country and the 10th ranked edge player. On the On3 Industry Rankings, a little higher overall as the 116th overall, but a little lower as the 14th edge player in the country. But as you can tell, you're getting about a top 100 player here. So Florida is looking at him playing the jack linebacker spot, kind of what Jack Pyburn is playing now. That's what you're looking at here. He is coming off a visit to Florida last weekend during the Ole Miss game, and that was kept kind of quiet. But as far as it happening, of course, we found out last weekend he was on campus. But I think kind of wanting to keep it quiet that it was going to happen. And then here he comes, commits almost a week later. Additional offers include Michigan, Alabama, Oregon, LSU, Miami, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Stanford, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Washington, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. So highly coveted flip here, as I mentioned, flipping from Penn State, where he had been committed since June. All right, so let's get some highlights started here. As we read some more about Woods here, this past season, Woods racked up 90 total tackles in 11 games so far, 5 of those being for a tackle for loss. Also contributed 5.5 sacks, 6 quarterback hurries, 1 interception, and 2 forced fumbles. Last season in 2023, as a junior, he recorded 71 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 8 pass deflections, helped Mill Valley finish 11-2 and win a 5th consecutive Kansas 5A state title. In 2022, helped Mill Valley go 12-1 and win a championship there as well. Credited with 51 total tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble returns, 12 quarterback hurries. You can see what just based on stats of why he's so highly coveted and highly ranked. Gabe Brooks of 24/7 Sports offers this analysis of Woods before this past season played out. Quote, good size, standing edge player with the physical tools to put a hand on the ground, whether as a scheme versatile puzzle piece or a long-term projection to more of a traditional D-line role. Plays with obvious strength at the point of attack, puts hands to use, and shows stack and shed ability versus the run. Displays encouraging linear pursuit to close on the ball. Physical tackler who shows some quick uncoiling pop that also punishes lead blockers in the run game. Excellent multi-sport profile that includes Kansas State Discus Championship and wrestling prowess. Bit of a one-speed rusher who's still developing his move set. Flashes an effective inside move, segmented mover at times with some lower half tightness when redirecting. Can improve dip and bend flexibility around the edge and present more of a speed threat on obvious passing downs. Projects as a high major defender who may wind up more of an interior defensive lineman than a true edge. Thrives on functional strength and high effort, energetic play style. Could become an impact starter with long-term NFL draft upside. That coming from Gabe Brooks of 24/7 Sports. Let's keep it going. Charles Power of On3 offers this before Woods' senior season as well. Woods is an edge prospect with some interesting traits and skills. The last measurements we had on him, he checked in around 6'2.5", 233 pounds, and has good length. This is the guy who really kinds of plays standing up for Mill Valley, which is one of the better teams in that classification in Kansas. He shows good strength at the point of attack, and I think he's a good athlete. He's a solid run defender and has the ability to drop into space as well. You can see some solid bit around the edge and early signs of active hands and technique. All positive for the player. And so if you look at it moving forward here, I mean, it's there's a lot of good to like here. Charles Powell goes on to say he's a guy who checks the boxes in track and field as well. I think he improved on that front in a good bit in the spring. He won the state title in the shot put with a 56-plus foot throw. That's phenomenal. Also runs the 100 meters, and he ran an 11.8, which is solid for someone his size. So he's a guy I'm looking forward to seeing the strides he's made as a senior. There's certainly some encouraging flashes on film. I think we just kind of want to see him continue to put it together. He's a guy who I think, given his physical traits, should really dominate at that level. So one more I found. I wanted to do a little more research on this, so I had to go back a bit when he committed to Penn State and find an interview with his head coach, John Appleby. He told On3's Ryan Snyder, you'll like what you hear about this. The way I describe Jayden is that he's the most driven athlete I've been around. He's focused so well mentally on the things that he not only wants to work on, but the thing he knows he needs to work on. He's a very coachable kid. I would say that his mental toughness is probably his top quality, but he's obviously a very good athlete. Just seeing his maturation from playing defensive end to then last year when we moved him all around the defensive line, it says a lot about what he can handle. This year, his senior year, we're going to move him around even more. We're going to put him off the ball inside. We'll put him back down on the ball. We'll put him outside off the ball. We're going to do all kinds of different things with him this year. So he's very versatile. He's actually played middle linebacker his freshman year. We're kind of letting him go back to that realm a little bit. But we're also keep him where he can move around in third down situations. It'll just depend on what the matchups are like. Snyder then asked, you mentioned briefly that he's a great kid, but what's he like inside the locker room? I assume he's a captain for you this year. What is he like around the guys? And his head coach Appleby says, he carries himself very well. He's one of the first ones there, the last ones to leave almost every time. A little story behind that, during his sophomore year, he would stay after practice, and we'd almost have to kick him off the field because we'd have to go in and watch the film as a staff. But he always wanted extra work. At that time, there were probably 3 or 4 players that would do that on a consistent basis. By the end of his junior year, we had probably 40 or 50 players staying afterwards asking coaches, hey, what can we work on? What can we do? It's player-led a lot of times now. So that's one of the things that he really brought to our program and showed our current team. He's always been a leader by example, and this year he's been a lot more vocal this offseason, which has been really good to see. He's a great teammate. Another thing I appreciate about him is throughout everything he's done during this recruiting process, he's never missed one of our team activities. So there you go. I mean, accolade galore here for Jaden Woods, the type of player Florida is going to be. Not just the type of player, but the type of person you're getting to. It's like you're getting a dedicated player here coming to the Florida Gators now. He's also a member of the 24/7 Sports 2025 Freaks list. So also competes in track and field, as we heard, and wrestled. Kansas 6A state champion in shot put, discus as a junior, and on the mat qualified for a 6A state wrestling tournament and the 285-pound weight class as a sophomore as well. So certainly getting an athlete here at this spot, and certainly with the wrestling background, being able to use leverage. I mean, Jack Pyburn's the same way. If you want to put some kind of comparison there of, a wrestling background, being able to use that to your advantage, there you go. That's what Woods brings to the table as well. So, gotta like this one. Kind of a surprise out of nowhere. I mean, we knew there was interest here, especially after he visited last week. Wasn't sure. Some saw it as a 50-50 battle just a couple of days ago. But now, as we see here, another commitment for the Gators. Another flip for the Gators. It makes this 20 commits now for the Gators and rises Florida up to 15th on the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings. 1 5-star, 10 4-stars, 9 3-stars. Woods becomes the third highest ranked recruit in the class, only behind Vernell Brown III and Ben Hanks Jr. This gives Florida 4 defensive commits, all ranked in the top 150, with Hanks Jr., Ty Jackson, and Jalen Wiggins. Those guys pledged to the Gators, and now you got a really good edge combo, too, of Woods and Wiggins here. So, man, edge group really looking good here. Add into, I think, if you start looking at this defense, the very underrated Jeremiah McLeod. I know there was some kind of baseless rumors that he may be flipping away from Florida. I don't see it, but I think if you guys go back to when he committed to Florida, I think he's much better than what the rankings show there. I'm a stars matter guy, but also take a look at it sometimes, and it goes deeper than that. Jeremiah McLeod, I think he's going to be a really good player. Remember, Stephon Shivers up front as well now. Linebackers Miles Johnson, and there's a lot to like on this defensive side of the football for the Gators. I really think, especially with adding this here, Florida's got some really, really good players on this defensive side of the football. And then we'll maybe keep an eye out for this one in the next few days. 4-star Tennessee cornerback commit, Onis Conanbanny. Gators are trying to flip him as well. So it could get even better on the defensive side of the ball for the Gators. But at the top of this, at the top with Hanks Jr., Ty Jackson, Jalen Wiggins, and now Jaden Woods, that's a pretty good haul up front. We're at the top of the class here for the Gators. All right, so as I said, we got to talk to Billy Napier Wednesday night. And look, can't go into player specific, of course, but let's hear from the coach on the momentum in recruiting. Of course, we've seen all the visits the last couple of weeks, a string of commitments. I know you can't get into player specific, but what has kind of been the general feedback from the last 2 big weekends?
Well, a lot of these kids we had really good relationships from in the past. Maybe we finished second or whatever the case may be. And I think the stability and then obviously the performance on the field, the energy amongst our players, just I think Gator Nation is kind of rallying the troops a little bit, so all of that, this is a powerful place. When we have momentum, we can be dangerous, and I think it's critical that we keep that. Obviously, our focus right now is on Florida State and the game Saturday, so we need to continue playing well, and we got to earn the right to win this weekend and try to finish this race and keep this momentum. And, I do think recruiting is affected by that. I tell the staff all the time, the most significant recruiting factor is winning. And I think when we do that, we'll get our fair share of good players.
Here, Billy Napier. Imagine that. Winning matters on the recruiting trail. Look, I'll say it and I'll bang the drum again. I know this world has changed, and I know NIL and money have a huge part in it, but you're never not going to convince me that wins and losses matter. That wins and losses certainly matter. I mean, not as much at the beginning when you can sell a little bit of hope and you're figuring some things out, but the third year, the fourth year, and on down the road, wins going to matter a whole lot more. And these last couple of weeks of beating LSU and beating Ole Miss certainly resonate right here toward the end of this year, toward the end of this early signing day recruiting cycle, and it's paying off right now for the Gators. So As I said, you like to have it earlier on, and you can kind of build the base of this class. But Florida put together a pretty good finish here for this class. As I mentioned, 15th right now. We'll see what the next few days hold. But certainly looking better than what it was looking like. And you can best bet those wins versus LSU and Ole Miss play a huge factor. Especially those games being at home. You had the recruits in your building. They were able to see it. There was no better timing for all of this to happen. Muddy Waters, let's go back to the comments. Muddy Waters says, if Penn State really wanted him, he's legit. Penn State been sending edge rushers to the NFL constantly lately. Keeping it going right here. Muddy says, guess we're going to load up on defensive tackles in the portal. That's just a hidden flip somewhere. Yeah, I would expect, and I think that's a big part of this too. Probably, having a little bit more success right now on the high school recruiting front than most thought at one time. But you still going to have to save some spots because we mentioned, when you decided to bring back Billy Napier, you got DJ Lagway. This is a 2-year window. This is a chance to build around your star quarterback. You're going to do that through instant impact of the transfer portal. So I don't know how many more that might come. That question might come up. I don't know how many more they're going to get in this high school recruiting class. Now, as I mentioned last episode, with the way the running backs were working out, Chad Gasper, maybe a walk-on, so maybe just 19 as far as scholarships go at the moment with the commits for Florida. So we'll see how that shakes out, but certainly going to need some room for the instant impact guys. You got to go get in the transfer portal to really, really put this thing together for a run next year and the year after for the Gator football team. Muddy Water says, if they flip the Tennessee commit, do you still see them going after the 5-star cornerback committed to OSU with Naeem Offord there? Auburn's in play here too with him. So there's some thought that it actually Auburn would be the choice at this moment. So we'll see. So probably, I think you probably still go after him, but maybe the quote unquote miss wouldn't be so much if you're trying to flip him away from Ohio State. Muddy Waters, really good point. At this point, Billy can make another basement joke, and over half the fan base would find it funny now winning matters. What's the old adage? Winning solves everything. It holds true. It holds true. You're right. He can make any kind of joke right now. Austin Harler says, how many do you think hit the portal from Florida? That's a really good question. I think another way of asking that is, how many are going to be asked to hit the portal from Florida? There are going to be some surprising names. I think it's possible. As I said, you have a 2-year window coming up with DJ Lagway, and you want to build off of that so you can keep this thing going. But I'm saying, to turn this thing around and to compete for championships at the same time, this is a 2-year window. And I think you got to be competing next year. As I've already said, this is not a reset. When you decided to bring Billy Napier back and you got DJ Lagway and what he's already proven, this is not a reset. You have to be competing in November next season. So I'm not going to be surprised if a little more than you think hit the portal that's on Florida's roster right now. So you're getting paid now. Expectations are going to come with that. You're getting paid a lot of money. So whether you're not good enough, not playing enough, there's going to be some hard decisions. Some come to Jesus moments coming up for guys maybe hitting the portal that are on Florida's roster right now. Big Gator fan 2 says we need the 5-star and get a top 5 class. If you're talking just high school, top 5 not happening. I mean, the hole was dug way too deep to come back for that. You might be able to crack top 10 with the way this is, but I still think you need one of the 5-star receivers. You need Solomon Thomas to flip as well. That's just to get, I think, at 10 maybe, or right inside the top 10. Top 5 class is going to be hard to manage. Now, if you want to combine high school and portal, I think that's what we need to see. Like, I think this needs to be a top portal class. And then maybe overall, you're in top 5. But just high school, yeah, it's hard for me to see right now. Going back to Muddy Waters says, do you expect any holdouts for the bowl game? Maybe if guys are going to hit the portal, but if they're on this team next year, no, I don't think so. There's one good thing about a young nucleus. I don't think you'll have as many bowl opt-outs. Now, for guys like Badger and DK, I think they would want to play, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, they're not like first round, receivers or anything. So maybe put another game film playing with Lagway on your tape. I don't expect many. I really don't. One reason is mainly because of the young nucleus on the team. Big Gator fan too. Going back to him, do you know anything about Billy being in a new OC this offseason? We'll see. There's so much on that. I know there were some thoughts out there if he was, when this vote of confidence came out, that he was going to have to hire an OC. We'll see. We were told that last year a whole lot too, and it never happened. I do think there was plans last year. It just didn't happen. So we'll see. That's probably a boring answer right now, but I don't take anything 100% anymore. I don't, especially if you do, I don't think you want to bring somebody in that's a complete restart on offense. Why start Lagway in a completely new offense? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I do think, and look, I don't think there's much wrong with Billy Napier's offense to begin with. I just think there's a lot of responsibilities. So to clear up the clock management issues, to clear up some of the consistency in the offense, just have somebody else calling mostly the same offense. I still think you can implement some to get some more receivers down the field, open up the passing game a little more with the 4 or 5 receiver sets. But a complete overhaul, I don't think is needed. Muddy Waters, going back to him, do you expect any staff changes or shakeups? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But one more time on that too. Not 100%. These things change fast and change a whole lot. Let's see. I don't know where Sean Mack is going with this. I honestly think Mullen's offense covered up our bad players. Just we have too many bad ones for Napier sometimes. I still think there's enough talent on the roster to win more than what we were. They have figured that out midway through the season, started playing better. Mullen's offense covered up our bad players. When 2020, there was a bunch of good players. And that was his next to last season. So, I'm not sure. I thought even before that, Trask, he made Franks a whole lot better. You had some pretty good options at receiver with Hammond, Swain, and Jefferson. So I don't totally get that comment unless I missed something. Christian Zaire says, y'all think Billy going to call this game conservative versus FSU? I may be disappointed if we don't win by more tthan 3 touchdowns against a 2-9 FSU team. I did pick a pretty big point spread. 41-13, 41-14, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. That's about what it was. I do expect a step on the throat here. Could he go conservative here? He could. That's kind of just Napier's MO a little bit. But at the same time, here's the thing. FSU's run defense is terrible. Like, bad. Really bad. The game could just slow down because Florida's just running the ball a little bit more. And they're just dominating there. If you're getting 5, 6, 7 yards carry, the game might just slow down because of that. But if you show me that and Florida wins by 20, but Florida's averaging like 7 yards a carry, don't get me wrong, I'm not really going to complain about a win anyway. But if you give me something like that, I'm going to be we should have won by 30, 40 points. Nah, if the game is slowed down because Florida's just dominating in the run game, I'm fine with that. I'll see how the game plays out. But don't get me wrong. I expect a beatdown. I want to see a beatdown. I want to see payback for the last couple of years. I want to see ending this season on a high note. Muddy Waters one more time. Last question. How serious is the GM position you're trying to fill? I know the last guy left for Georgia, and things seem to be working out without one. Well, Muddy, this is still more about what's coming up in the world of college football with the revenue share and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, things might be still working out kind of well without one now, but the world is about to change one more time in college football. So you're bringing them more for the future, setting yourself up for the future, setting dollar amounts of certain positions, working on contracts, not like the NFL, but similar to the NFL. It's, that's what it is. It's setting yourself up for the future of college football, not so much in the moment. I think there's still a benefit to having it now, but it's laying the groundwork for what's about to come up in the world of college football. Junior says, how do you think this year will look in hindsight? I think we actually have exceeded expectations overall, although we still left a little on the table. Junior, that's good. I don't want to go too deep into that because that will be a topic once this season concludes. So probably Monday night when Will and I get together, we'll look at this a little bit more. Quickly, I think it will be looked at some as in, what could have been if you had, of course, started this season off of like we had seen this team the last month, pretty much. So I think there will be a little of what could have been. Exceeded expectations from the way it looked at one point, sure. From coming into the season, kind of hard to sell me on that. At the same time, I picked this team to finish 8-4, and I was leaning 7-5. Like if you had to pick 8-4 and go one way or the other, 8-4. Would you be one game better and go 9-3, or one game worse and go 7-5? I lean 7-5. So I definitely won't say exceeded expectations, but probably met my expectations in a lot of ways. But as Will and I talked about last week, how weird is this season to open up to add the first 3 games, get beat by Miami and Texas A&M, those games not really being close, and then turn around and say, hey, in November, we're going to beat LSU and Ole Miss back-to-back. Preseason, nobody would have picked, okay, we'll lose to Miami and Texas A&M, but we'll beat those teams back-to-back later in the season. Nobody would have predicted that. So it's just a weird how it played out. Okay, we'll call it soon, but really good question here from Austin Harler. What are your top 3 most important positions that we have to get from the portal? Defensive tackle, defensive tackle, defensive tackle. No. Defensive tackle is one. I still think edge rusher, stand up edge. If you can go get whoever the top edge rusher is in the portal, make yourself go get him. And wide receiver. So defensive tackle, man, what about safety though? Probably safety more so than edge. I like some of the young edge options. Like I said, if you can get an elite there, okay. I still think you got to get some help in the safety. I know Asa Turner, there's some thought that he might be trying to figure out a way to come back for one more season. That messed up hamstring that he suffered in game 1 versus Miami. Jordan Castell, not necessarily taking a huge jump like we thought he would from year 1 to year 2. And, built some depth in that spot, some competition in that spot. So I'll give you 4 then. Defensive tackle, edge, safety, and wide receiver. And then offensive line. Weird that offensive line would probably be last in my little hierarchy here. I think you have to attack it look, I think Florida's probably at least going to bring in, let's say 10 transfers. Offensive line is going to be hit. It needs to be. But losing, we'll see who Florida loses to along the defensive front. Cam Jackson for sure is gone. Caleb Banks, the way he's played lately, I don't really know. Sapp, I don't really know either. If those 2 guys come back, still go get you a defensive tackle in the portal. But it doesn't make it as dire as far as numbers go. But it could be pretty dire if that group of players leave. But a good question. Certainly with one we'll be hitting on the next month or so. Good stuff. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for hopping in. Want to keep this episode a little shorter. Of course, surprise episode. Go spend some time with family here in the holidays. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed the family time. And all the family time coming up. I hope you spend some time with family watching Florida beat Florida State this weekend. That'd be a blast. But for sure. Big thanks. Gators hot on the recruiting trail. Thanks for hopping in. Live edition of Gators Breakdown right here. Surprise episode. But Jaden Woods flipping from Penn State to Florida. One more in this recent recruiting trend for the Gators. That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.